Left of the box. A while ago, I started covering Donald Trump's joke of him claiming Canada will be the 51st nation and stuff. There was a picture of him on a mountain with a Canadian flag overlooking a Swiss mountain, the Matterhorn, I think it was. He was making the joke ever since Justin Trudeau went down there and groveled about, the tariffs and whatnot, as opposed to having like a strong stance against it. He just like went down to Mar-a-Lago to, I don't know, serve his food. It was kind of an embarrassing reaction to Donald Trump's threats versus who else he threatened and how they reacted, which we'll get a little bit into. I think at that point Donald Trump knew he had Justin Trudeau by the leash, and he hasn't let that joke stop. And in fact, it's been getting worse. And I've said it before, and I'm terribly worried about this. Donald Trump will try everything he is claiming he's going to do. He will try it. Whether he gets through with it is all dependent on the people around him and the pushback he gets from the ultra wealthy. That's part of the reason why I'm not entirely sure the tariffs will go through, because the ultra wealthy who run the corporations, they don't want it. So there's a chance that will stop. It's the same with like the HB1 visa thing, where, Elon Musk wanted HB1 visas, so therefore Donald Trump does too, because it helps his billionaire friends. But this joke of his, it hasn't gone away. And like I said, it's been getting worse. And it's been rubbing a lot of Canadians the wrong way, me included. And the reason why, it's not out of some sense of patriotism. Like, I suppose I do have a little bit of that deep down inside. I'm not proud of Canada, but I'm grateful to be a Canadian. But I think I also do like being Canadian, which is a very complicated relationship that I have with this country, knowing what this country is responsible for. But also part of the unease and angst I'm feeling with his joking is that there is a much more implied threat there. If Donald Trump were to try anything, we can't stop it. Like, there's nothing, we don't have the military, the might, the money, to really stop him from doing whatever he wants. Now, I've never thought that there would be like boots on the ground type situation, type like trying to annex part of Canada. But I said from the get-go, economics would be the way that he would go. And it turns out that is the way he is thinking. So he has confirmed what I was thinking. See, I know these things. I knew these things ahead of time. From the get-go, I said economic, and well, we'll hear it from him.
You said you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No.
So that was quiet from the reporter, just asking that you say you would use military force for Panama and Greenland, but will you for Canada?
Economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. But here's the problem with Canada. So many friends up there. I love the Canadian people. They're great. But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it. We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. You know, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars.
There's just, he has no clue what he's talking about. He has no understanding of trade and relationships or anything of that sort. He has no idea of like what the deficit means. Like if one country is spending more money towards another one, it doesn't mean that there's some sort of deficits going on. It's mean that they're buying more goods. Like it's just, he has no clue. He just hears words and thinks to himself, does that sound good or bad? Does that make me sound strong or weak? And he's antagonizing his biggest trading partners. Canada, not the biggest. It's usually Mexico. It's basically, we're usually within the top three, and it's China, Mexico, and Canada, and depending on when any one of us can be the biggest trading partner to the United States. But it's often Mexico, it can be China. Whereas for us, the United States is always our largest trading partner, and then we also get Mexico and China as well. But it's just, from the start, to hop into office and start antagonizing your biggest trading partners, to start threatening the Panama Canal, Greenland, for what? Like, what is the end of this? Like, what does he hope to gain? And, people say, oh, you shouldn't compare things to like Nazi Germany and Hitler. It's like, he's talking about annexing and putting military on ground for Greenland and for Panama Canal and having an economic annexation of part of Canada. If he's not joking, then what is that? Like, if he goes through with that, then how is it any different? Like, this is how it starts. It doesn't start with a full-fledged genocide and gas chambers. It starts with this. And it started a long time ago. For years, people were calling Donald Trump a fascist. It wasn't an exaggeration. And now he's going to be in power again, with a lot of the things that were holding him back before are gone. It is going to be a very intense. And people keep on saying 4 years. Some people say there might not be in their election. You know what? I don't even rule that out. But who's to say the next person that gets to be president of the United States won't be worse at this point? It'd be nice to think that they get somebody better, but who's to say it won't be worse? Like, it's just, this isn't another 4-year battle. This isn't just a 4 years we have to get through. This is like a fight that we will be taking on forever. Because it's when people started to relax and not fight back as hard as when the fascists came back. If you watch Andor, very, very good series. And there's a speech at the end where she says the empire, or fascism, thrives when we sleep. That is when they become strong. And we've been asleep on this for way too long.
We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber. We have to unrestrict them because stupid people put, restrictions on, but I can do that with an executive order. We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have. We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more?
You're probably losing that on buying energy. I saw some graphs and stuff of this. I wish I remembered to actually save it, where it's how much energy the United States is reliant on Canada for. And that's why Doug Ford's threat, although I seriously doubt he'd be able to follow through with it, of cutting off the power supply to over 1 million Americans actually holds some weight. Because while a lot of trade and tariffs and stuff and all that, the states can control, we control a lot of the energy. And considering that there was just a massive snowstorm that reached across the United States, there's all these forest fires and stuff that are just ravaging areas, you kind of need the energy
to protect Canada. And I said that to, as I called him, Governor Trudeau. I said, listen, what would happen if we didn't subsidize you, if we didn't, because we give them a lot of money. We help them. As an example, we're buying icebreakers, and Canada wants to join us in the buying of icebreakers. I said, we don't really want to have a partner in the buying of icebreakers. We don't need a partner. But no right. Nope, no right. Here's what we have. We have a right not to help them with their financial difficulties because we owe $36 trillion too. We're going to start knocking it out pretty fast, but we're going to be able to do it because of energy and other things. But no right. No right. But why are we supporting a country, 200 billion plus a year. Our military is at their disposal. All of these other things, they should be a state.
Generally speaking, when it comes to like military actions, especially overseas, it's joint projects. We don't rely on Americans for military action. In fact, there's usually been an uneven balance of that, like Canada joining in the First and Second World War, I believe, before the Americans. I'm not an expert on that. We sell plenty of weapons to Israel ourselves. Like, we have our own military industrial complex here. And also, like, the idea of, like, oh, we protect Canada and keep them safe. Well, yeah, of course you do, because do you really want some sort of hostile government on your border? Like, we have the luxury over here that, like, in Canada, we only have the United States bordering us. I guess, technically speaking, you could say Russia is somewhere up north. But really, it's just the United States, and the United States is just wedged between, Canada and Mexico. So when it comes to hostilities from other nations, we have oceans protecting us. Like, it's the likelihood of, Russia doing an invasion of Canada. Like, there used to be movies, I think back in the 80s, where they had like the Red Scare or something like that. And it's like, oh, they're burrowing underground in order to invade. That's not going to happen, because the amount of resources and time and the movement it would need in order to have an invading force come into North America, it's not going to happen. So we're generally speaking pretty safe up here. So it is in the United States' best interest to make sure that whatever happens to us doesn't result in a hostile nation being on their border.
That's why I told Trudeau when he came down, I said, what would happen if we didn't do it? He said Canada would dissolve. Canada wouldn't be able to function if we didn't take their 20% of our car market. They send us hundreds of thousands of cars. They make a lot of money with that. They send us a lot of other things that we don't need. We don't need their cars, and we don't need the other products. We don't need their milk.
Well, considering that they already exported all of those jobs, like the main manufacturing jobs, they've exported out to like China and Mexico and stuff. Yeah, you kind of do need what we provide. Because you're not self-sufficient, and I don't think you want to be either, because then that would increase the cost of goods.
We got a lot of milk. We got a lot of everything. And we don't need any of it. So I said to him, well, why are we doing it? He said, I don't really know. He was unable to answer the question, but I can answer it. We're doing it because of habit, and we're doing it because we like our neighbors, and we've been good neighbors. But we can't do it forever, and it's a tremendous amount of money. And why should we have a $200 billion deficit and add on to that many, many other things that we give them in terms of subsidy? And I said, that's okay to have if you're a state. But if you're another country, we don't want to have it. We're not going to have it with European Union either. European Union, we have a trade deficit of $350 billion. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take anything. And so we're not going to have it with them either.
Yeah, he doesn't understand how trade and manufacturing works, because often a lot of the trade is just for parts that then get manufactured on one side of the border and then gets sent back, and then it's manufactured a bit on that side, and he keeps on going back and forth and stuff. Like, he doesn't know. He doesn't get it. For somebody that's supposed to be so good in business, he's absolutely fucking clueless as to how businesses actually work. So then he's also been tweeting out these things on Truth Social. So you got, ooh, United States, look at that. All of this could be the United States. And it's not just one. It's also this one, and just anonymous. USN screaming it's a distraction, or it's Putin's ploy. You dumb-ass president is threatening to invade its neighbors, and we have no doubt that he will try. You failed to stop him if he attempts it. Don't blame the world for the war that will engulf your entire country, pretending it isn't dangerous or an international crisis isn't going to stop him from trying. And so he's tweeted this out, or truthed it out. And the thing is that he keeps on talking about Canada as the 53rd state. You really think that all of Canada, a country that already has more landmass than the United States, will be one state? No, we're broken into provinces, 10, and a few territories. And technically speaking, it could probably get broken up a little bit more, but the population is so minor, it doesn't matter because there are distinct cultures in different parts of the country, as with most big countries like this. There'd be multiple states at a minimum. Also, who do you think they'd vote for? Because even our conservatives, a lot of them would never vote for Trump. You see, here's my theory. That not too long ago, he saw an electoral map of Canada for, last election and the election before that. And he saw all of this red on it. And he thought, if we get Canada, we'll get all those votes. Without realizing that in Canada, red means liberal and blue means conservative. He doesn't know that. And so he saw all those maps and he thought, look at all that red. We could have them voting Republican down here too for us. Like he must be terrified looking at the map now, seeing all the blue that's probably popping up. Thinking, oh no, look at all those Democrats. That's my theory. And I think he's dumb enough that would actually be a thing. So he's also threatened Greenland, and he's threatened the Panama Canal, and he's threatened Mexico. They actually have leaders that say something, that push back. And so Nikki Ashton, she's an NDP MP here in Canada. She said solidarity with Greenland as they stand up to Trump and Trump hysteria. Canada could learn a few things. And so here's the Premier of Greenland. Their message today. Let me repeat. Greenland belongs to the people of Greenland. Our future and fight for independence is our business. While others, including Danes and Americans, are entitled to their opinions, but we should not be caught up in the hysteria and external pressures distract from our path. The future is ours and ours to shape. We commit to exercising our right as people and fulfilling our duties with wisdom and care. Every day is spent on working to become independent. We can cooperate. Be nice if we got something like that from Justin Trudeau from the beginning. Because you notice how he doesn't joke about Mexico all that much anymore? He doesn't really joke. But he's continuing this joke about Canada. About, the 51st state. Again, I don't take any of this lightly. I don't think he's threatening. I think he fully intends to try everything he's saying. But, the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, she actually pushes back. And it's nice to see. And it'd be nice, again, if Justin Trudeau had done anything remotely similar to this. So this will be in subtitles, so I'm going to mute this and just read the subtitles. The Gulf of Mexico is recognized by the United Nations, but why don't we call it America Mexicana? It sounds nice, doesn't it? Isn't that right? Since the 1607. The Constitution of, I don't know how to say that. Oops. The Constitution of was of America Mexicana, Mexican America. So let's call it America Mexicana. It sounds nice, doesn't it? In Gulf of Mexico, well, since 1670, it has been recognized internationally. I think there's going to be a good relationship. I don't see why there can be a bad relationship. I think President Trump has his way of communicating. It is a serious accusation for the president to say that the narcos govern Mexico. Yes, but that's false. It is false. That's why I commented that. With all due respect, well, maybe. Yesterday you had some bad information and you think of Felipe Calderon and Garcia Luna are still in power. In Mexico, the people govern because the president was elected by the people of Mexico, and we are dealing with the problem of insecurity. Let's go. Goodbye. See, it's a nice tongue-in-cheek way that she was dealing with it. I'll play some audio so that you can get an idea of her sound.
América Mexicana. Se oye bonito, ¿no? ¿Verdad que sí? Desde 1607. La Constitución de Apatzingán era de América Mexicana.
A little confident, a little condescending, kind of like it. Meanwhile, remember this image. Yeah, there we go. That in contrast to what the Mexican president is doing. It's pretty sad. But of course, Justin Trudeau, finally, now that he's resigned, he has sent out a clear message to Donald Trump. There isn't a snowball chance in hell that Canada would become part of the United States. Workers and communities in both our countries benefit from each other's biggest trading and security partner. It only took him resigning for him to finally say something forceful. And even that, I don't know, it's too campy to be forceful. It's kind of just way too campy. Like there was so much more he could have done. And the thing with Trump is that he's a bully. And if you let him know at the beginning where your boundaries are, how forceful you are in pushing back against him, he tends to back off. But since Justin Trudeau never did that, he's just kept on getting worse and worse and worse. And so finally, now that Justin Trudeau doesn't have to actually deal with it in the future, he's now finally becoming vocal about it. But again, one of the things that I worry about with this upcoming election is the interference we're going to have from Elon Musk on Twitter in particular. It happened in the United States. He's doing it with other countries. Some countries are pushing back. I don't think Canada has the bones to do anything that would push back in any sort of forceful way against a billionaire who owns a social media platform. There should be, because in Canada, we have laws about foreign interference. Not that that seems to matter much anymore. But, so this is Justin Trudeau's tweet. This is a real reply to it from Elon Musk. It's a bit offensive, so I'll just warn you about that. Girl, you're not the governor of Canada anymore, so it doesn't matter what you say. Transphobic. Let's just say that. Also, there's been plenty of attacks on Justin Trudeau. A lot of the people on the right accuse Justin Trudeau of being queer in some way or another as an attack. Justin Trudeau, of course, if he were queer, there's great, but for the right wing, they tend to use that identity as a way to denigrate or insult, when that's just a double whammy, I guess you could say, for the queer community, because our identities shouldn't be used as insults to other people. And that's why I don't like it when I see other people, even on the left, doing that sort of thing as a way to insult a right-winger by referring to them as gay or closeted or something of that sort. Because our identities should never be used in that way. But, this is the person who owns a very influential platform right now, and what he's saying to the leader of a country. Like, there's nothing reining in Elon Musk at this point. He's just getting away with whatever the hell he likes. And so he's just, adding fuel to the fire. This will help, get Trump all happy and amped up. And then it's just a feedback loop of those two stroking each other's ego. It's like a little circle, stroking circle of sorts. The way that they love to get off on each other's power, I guess. So it's like I said, this election is going to be pretty tumultuous. And this is, again, part of the reason why I fully intend to stay on Twitter till at least the end of the election, because there's going to be a lot on Twitter that needs to be paid attention to. And what Elon Musk does during our election should be pretty noteworthy and probably illegal. Well, here's what Pierre Poilievre finally had to say about, Donald Trump's constant threats. And the thing with conservatives is that there's a little bit of a rock and a hard place situation, because they want to suck up to Donald Trump, but at the same time, they don't want to be attacked. They don't want their economy, their policies attacked. They don't want to be threatened with tariffs and things of that sort, things that would hurt them personally in their ridings and whatnot. They don't want to look weak. And so it's kind of like, as I say, we have the leopards eating face party. Now, the conservatives here are leopards, no doubt about it, just like the Republicans are leopards. However, the leopards in Canada and the leopards in America are two different breeds of leopards, and they don't necessarily recognize each other. So when the Canadian leopards try to get in with the American leopards, it's only a matter of time before the American leopards realize those spots are a bit different. And then what happens? Right, it's the whole eating face thing. So Pierre Poilievre had tweeted out, Canada will never be the 51st state, period. No, it would be more like this up to the 60th at a bare minimum. More like the 80th. We'd probably break it into like 20 states. Although one state would probably then only have 30,000 people in it, just given the population density. We are a great and independent country. Oh, now we're a great country, huh? Funny, that's not usually his type of rhetoric when he's talking about Justin Trudeau. We are the best friends of the U.S. We spent billions of dollars and hundreds of lives helping Americans retaliate against Al-Qaeda 9/11 attacks. We supply the U.S. with billions of dollars of high quality and totally reliable energy well below market prices. We buy hundreds of billions of dollars of American goods. Actually, I'm going to try to bring something up. Come From Away was a musical actually made in response to 9/11. So basically, I'll just read here. Come From Away is a musical with book, music, and lyrics by Irene Sankoff and David Hine. It's based on the events in Newfoundland, town of Gander, during the week following September 11th attacks, when 38 planes carrying approximately 7,000 passengers were ordered to land unexpectedly at Gander International Airport. The characters in the musical are based on actual Gander residents and stranded travelers they housed and fed. Like, the population of the town was not that big to begin with. Yeah, so to have 7,000 people suddenly fled this small little town, but the way that they actually were hospitable to them, it shows that type of like relationship and stuff that we have with Americans when it comes to crises and stuff, and how we tend to help each other and look out for each other. So back to Pierre Poilievre's tweet. Our weak, empathetic NDP Liberal government has failed to make these obvious points. I will fight for Canada. When I am Prime Minister, we will rebuild our military and take back control of the border to secure both Canada and the US. We will take back control of our Arctic to keep Russia and China out. We will tax. Okay, and then it's just slogan. In other words, we will put Canada first. When you have America first policies and then Canada first policies, and they kind of go head to head, it never works out that well. Jugmeat also sent this out finally. Only took till yesterday. Cut the crap, Donald. No Canadian wants to join you. We are proud Canadians, proud of the way we take care of each other and defend our nation. Your attacks will hurt jobs on both sides of the border. You come for Canadian jobs, American will pay price. And that is true. Like all this threat of tariffs and stuff like that, and energy and commerce and stuff. It's like you're antagonizing your biggest trading partners, and it will only end up hurting your own people as well. Why are you doing this? Like, he already won. Trump already won. He doesn't need to do this to stoke up his base. And so this video is from Elizabeth May, the leader of the Green Party. And it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but I kind of like it. And again, I kind of wish that Justin Trudeau had said something along these lines, when it first happened. Not because I think of anything strong or anything, but mockery is a good way to fight bullies.
So no, sorry. And I really also take offense, sorry, Mr. Trump, took offense to your idea that Pierre Poilievre wasn't good enough to lead the Conservatives. Wayne Gretzky, I mean, he's great.
I covered that. So apparently Donald Trump was saying Wayne Gretzky should run to be Prime Minister of Canada, because that's exactly how you become Prime Minister in this country. You just put your name, your name in the hat in the ring or something like that. And that's how you run to become Prime Minister. Yeah, yeah. And after all the groveling and everything that Pierre Poilievre has done towards Trump, for him to just turn around and be like, I think Wayne Gretzky should, because he knows Wayne Gretzky and they're friends. Abernathy.
He is the great one. He skates to where the puck is going. It's not going to MAGA. The puck is on a Canadian ice rink. And by the way, Mr. Trump, please, before making public pronouncements that Wayne Gretzky should run for Prime Minister, give yourself or get yourself a briefing on the nature of parliamentary democracy, a Westminster parliamentary system, and a constitutional monarchy where no one runs for Prime Minister. We have elections for members of parliament. We don't get to pick and choose among our billionaire friends for who gets a seat at the cabinet table. If they're not...
Although generally speaking, in order to run for office, you need to be quite wealthy. It screens out a lot of people who might be more activist and advocate mind orientated, because you need a lot of money. There are no people living with poverty who have made it into office, like provincial or federal office.
An elected member of parliament. Well, Canadian system is different from that of the United States of America. I suggest that Mr. Trump find one of his grandchildren's school books and look at the year 1776, which may explain a few things to him about why our systems of government are different. I don't want to belittle Mr. Trump, but on the other hand, hey, Donald, have we got a deal for you?
I don't want to belittle you, but I will.
You think we want to be the 51st state? Nah, but maybe California would like to be the 11th province. How about it? California, Oregon, Washington, you've got geography in common with us. And not only that, we've already got a carbon trading system between California and Quebec. We've got some strong alliances on our west coast from British Columbia. There's been a lot of academic papers on the idea of Cascadia. So California, Governor Newsom, and Washington State, Jay Inslee, and newly elected Governor of Oregon, Tina Kotek. How about it? Want to put a referendum to your citizens? Because this is what you deal. Have we got a deal for you?
I think per capita, there's probably more Americans that would want to be Canadians than there would be Canadians that want to be American. Just saying.
This is what you get. Free health care. Universal free health care. No more one-year-olds who suddenly fall off the Medicaid list and their parents are in the news because they're trying to do a GoFundMe so they can get their daughter to a doctor. Universal free health care. And guess what? Those gun laws that your Congress is too afraid to pass because of the national gun lobby, we already got our strict gun laws. That's why we have the safest streets around the world, or at least in the United States, by the way, the most recent stats, 5.9 out of every 100,000 people is killed in a fatal gun incident versus 0.88 per 100,000 in Canada. That's because we have strict gun laws. California citizens Oregon, Washington. Safer streets. Here we already have good gun laws, and women have a right to an abortion under our universal health care system. But, we don't have to stop there. Donald, think about it. You could get rid of all these states that always vote Democrat. You know what else will take Bernie Sanders off your hands? Proud new Canadian citizen of the great province of Vermont. Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. We'd love to see you. Our maritime provinces already have deep, deep links and ties. Well, enough kidding around. But honestly, President Trump, get used to it. Canada is a sovereign nation full of, guess what, proud Canadians. We're not jingoistic. We don't boast a lot. That's one of the things we kind of have in common with Jimmy Carter. We're not a big nation for braggarts and bullies. We actually like to think we're of service in the world. We could do better. We can always do better. But we love our country. And it's a country. It's a nation. And we do not aspire to be a 51st state. So let's not hear that anymore. If it was a joke, it was never funny. And it ends now. Thanks. So
I do like that. If it was a joke, it was never funny, and it ends now.